workers and the scientists and the doctors and others who are trying to solve this pandemic. So I think if I were writing your headline, I'd say the Senate has pivoted from one of the most contentious, partisan periods in the nation's history to passing this rescue package 100-0, all in 1 quarter of this year. From arguably the most partisan, divisive thing you could possibly do to coming together entirely, 100 of us, to meet this challenge, I think says a lot about the United States Senate as an institution, our willingness to put aside our differences to do something really significant for the country. I think one of the reasons that happened is we're inspired by what's going on around the country. People are helping each other, reaching out, looking for ways to make a difference, following the directions of the healthcare professionals. This is a proud moment for the United States Senate and for the country, and we're going to win this battle in the very near future. With that, I'll take a couple of questions if there are any. Yeah.
Senator McConnell, understanding that, of course, this is a crisis and time is of the essence, this vote began and the public had not yet seen the bill. Lobbyists had seen the bill. And none of the debate had been held in public. There was virtually no public debate on what looks to be the largest bill in American history. Can you explain why that was, and should the public have had more time to understand what this bill is that is meant to help them?
Do you work here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're the elected representatives of the American people. To walk you through it again. We laid down a bill as a result of consultation with Republican members on key committees. We invited our Democratic friends to join us. By Sunday of this week, we had a bipartisan bill as a starting place. Then the Speaker and the Democratic leader came into my office on Sunday, and that slowed down the process, but it had already begun on a totally bipartisan basis. That's what we do here. We are elected to get results.
My question's about the public.
Yeah, and the public watching all of it through you, and the debates on the floor. This bill is no different from any other bill. This is the way all bills are developed. What was different about it, it was totally bipartisan from the beginning to the end. And as I just mentioned, we pivoted from impeachment to 100-0 on this rescue package. This was about as flawless as you could possibly be. We had input from everyone, all over the country, all parts of our society, from nonprofits to profits, all going to their elected representatives, coming into these discussions. This is a classic way you write legislation in a democracy. Yeah.
At the same time, you and Schumer didn't seem to interact too much with each other. Throughout the entire process, you were railing on Pelosi as if she did not have a right to have any sort of imprint on this bill.
I know you're paid to find something wrong with almost everything, but there's not much to argue about when people who are... I can answer. I'll be happy to answer it myself. We pivoted from one of the most partisan exercises you could ever be engaged in to a bipartisan 100-0 $2 trillion rescue package for the country. Not much to complain about on process when you get that kind of an outcome for the country. You all have a good break, and we'll see you when we get back here, and hopefully we've bent the curve on this pandemic by then.
All right, you've been listening in to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell as they voted on a historic $2 trillion relief bill. We are going to break down the analysis of what it means now moving forward with Chad Pergram and General Jack Keane after a quick break.
Well, Steny Hoyer, the House Majority Leader, just sent out a memo to all members. He indicates that the House will convene at 9 o'clock on Friday morning, and they will conduct this vote via voice vote. They're not going to have a full roll call vote where they bring all current 430 members together in the House chamber. He says this is, quote, to prevent further spread through travel. He says that members who want to weigh in will be allowed to do so, but they're very concerned about getting everybody into the chamber at the same time. And it still has to come over from the Senate. That vote is still open right now. They have the votes to pass it. It's 95-0, but they have not closed the vote just yet, Shannon.
Okay, so General, we have been talking with you about how you strategize against this kind of enemy. Any advice for the administration?
Well, yes. Well, first of all, I give them high marks because if you're going to win against any enemy, there's a couple things you have to demonstrate. One is you put a plan together, and certainly they did that. They had a strategy. But then you have to have significant flexibility to adapt to things that change on you, things that you not forecast. And also you have to have a dogged determination and perseverance to win. And you got to find your spine when you're facing fear, and everybody does in circumstances like this. So they have demonstrated, flexibility, certainly here. When the CDC tests did not work, and then they realized they didn't have sufficient numbers when they did work, they went to private sector, mass-produced these tests, as well as all the other equipment and the personal protection clothing that everybody needed. That's a good thing. Now there's another major shift that's coming, because the president and his team certainly know that the United States economy cannot be sustained by this continuous shutdown. And we'll reach unemployment numbers in weeks and months that are comparable to the Great Depression, which took years to achieve from 1929 to 1932. As such, he knows he has to try to establish a balance by trying to defeat the virus and continue all the proven methodologies that are being announced every day from the White House, but at the same time begin to open up the economy and get some people back to work. And I think he has an aspirational goal in Easter, but having had interaction with him myself on a number of issues like Syria and Afghanistan and Iran, I know he has flexibility here. That's an aspirational goal. He's not going to ignore the scientific community, but they will look for places, Shannon, where the defeat of the virus is working and it's acceptable to take the risk of bringing people back to work. That's certainly not in the epicenter in New York City and other places that are getting close to something like that. But there's many places in the country that I think the scientists who are helping him can give him some advice on where you can begin a phased introduction of a back-to-work plan, at the same time using all of the tools that you have to defeat the virus.
Yeah, and his team continues to say that they listen to him, they take his advice. It's something they're going to talk through before making any big decisions. Chad Pergram, General Keane, great to have you both with us on a very important historic night. Thank you both.
And
good talking to you.
They just closed the vote, 96-0.
It's official. Heads to the House next. Thank you, Chad. Okay, an amazing follow-up to our Monday story.